Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Aftershock Happy Hour and Live Sale. I'm your host and the communications specialist here at Aftershock Comics, RuthAnn Thompson. We have a very fun show headed your way today. We have one of my good friends, Ryan Parrott, to talk to about his career and all the books he has with us at Aftershock and then the live sale. But first off, we have our ambassador from Dayton, Ohio, Ray Hancock. Hello, Ray. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I am good. I'm so happy you were able to make it today. Thank you so much for joining. So, as I mentioned earlier, you are our Dayton, Ohio ambassador, and we do have some people here in the chat already. Hello, Nathan Duncan, Edward Huey, and Cedric D. Wilcox. Welcome. So, Ray, I won't say right off what you'd mentioned before we started the stream, but you can let us know, how did you become an Aftershock fan?
Well, actually, I believe I was reading, this is a full circle moment for me. I was reading a Dead Day comic, one of the issues, and saw the ad in the actual comic of, hey, you want to be an Aftershock ambassador, you know, write into this website. And I did, took a stab, and here I am.
Yeah, well, thank you again for joining. And it's been so great having you on the team. Cheers, by the way, and cheers to everybody watching. It is happy hour after all. The only one drinking so far.
You feel lonely.
There's got to be somebody else drinking, right? How about Ty Wilson? What up, fellow nerds? So for you, that was Dead Day the first book that you read with us at Aftershock, or what was it that really drew you to Aftershock comics in general?
Actually, when I got back into comics, and
Yeah.
The local comic book store here carries a lot of independents. So I was very fortunate because that's rare, especially in Dayton, Ohio. So I would routinely purchase a lot of Aftershock titles. Shipwreck was one of my earlier ones. And I think that's what drew me in and I think was that a Phil Hester? I can't remember the exact.
Yes, he did the artwork on that. Yeah.
Yes. But that's where it started, with Shipwreck.
That's so great. And you mentioned that it was one of the local comic book shops that you're hopefully that is one of the shops that you're visiting now. What are all your shops in Dayton, Ohio? And tell us a little bit about how you've been liking the program and working with these specific local shops of yours.
Absolutely. I have 7 shops. The majority are in Cincinnati, Ohio. Here locally, I have 2 stores. One I just picked up, Monocle Comics. They just had their grand opening. It was last week, so they're very new. And then the comic book that I frequent the most is Bell Book and Comic. Anyone in Dayton, and actually anyone in Cincinnati, they are very familiar with Bell Book and Comic. It's a really pretty big store in this area. So then I have 5 in Cincinnati, Up and Away, Paper Street Trade, Mavericks. Mavericks is a good old school comic dig if you like to go into the boxes. And find like the older copies you can't get anywhere else. That's a good place to hit. And then Nostalgia. So I got a wide range of shops. They're all different. That's what I like about it.
That's so great. Oh, and we have a very nice comment here from Crashline saying that Aftershock is the best publisher, such original stories, amazing authors, and artists. Thank you so much, Crashline. That's what we try to do, is bring people in and get more fans with awesome ambassadors like Ray here. So, Ray, I actually, at the beginning of the stream, you showed off a couple of your best finds recently. Do you want to show those off for people here too? Because they're really awesome.
So I got a metal cover of We Live. This is issue 1, first print. And it's just a gorgeous metal cover. It really is. And then, so I guess you're going to know what my favorite book of the month is, right?
Yeah.
This is We Live, first print as well, signed. So I got that find.
Yeah. That is so cool. Yeah, and so since you're an Aftershock fan and you're promoting a lot of these titles, what are your top 3 picks of the month for Aftershock?
Top 3 picks are We Live, Land of the Living Gods. Really enjoying that, and that might even be nudging a little bit over We Live. Actually, I love the culture aspect of that and bringing in different aspects that I don't normally read about. So that's been enjoyable. And Maniac of New York is old school slasher Yeah. Yeah. Those are
Yeah.
my three.
That's good, excellent three picks. I don't know, anybody who's watching, you're welcome to say what your top three picks are as well. But Ray, where can everybody find you on social media if they want to find you and follow you for all your adventures?
I'm on Facebook. Um, just Ray Hancock, RaeHancock. And I have a Twitter line as well, just with my name. You can find me there.
Perfection. Well, thank you so much for joining. And for all those watching, we're going to talk to Ryan Parrott first, and then we're going to have a live sale with more awesome We Live exclusives. So make sure you stick around.
Excellent.
And Ray, thank you for joining, and we'll see everybody in just a moment.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Hey everyone, it is Ruth from the Aftershock Epicenter live stream every single Tuesday. I just want to remind you that there was some wonderful titles that came out for yesterday's New Comic Book Day on Wednesday, March 23rd, which includes Lion the Eagle #2 and the finale of Maniac of New York, The Bronx is Burning. So if you didn't make it to your local comic book shop yesterday, make sure you get there as soon as you can. Now let's get to the interview with the creative Ryan Parrott. Welcome back, everybody, to the happy hour and live sale. But first, we're going to talk to one of my really good friends. He is writer of not only screenplays for film, movies, and comic books. We have the incredible Ryan Parrott here with us. Hello, good sir.
Hello, it's good to see you again.
It's so good to see you too. Cheers. Thank you for joining.
Cheers.
And to everybody watching as well.
I always love to drink at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's fine. It's fine. Right. Well, it's so good to see you. It feels like a millennia since I saw you at C2E2 in December. How have you been?
I'm good. I've been going to some cons. I'm drinking what am I drinking? I'm drinking peanut butter whiskey with triple sec. So it's a peanut butter and jelly like whiskey. It's not bad.
Well, now I feel like so remiss of just doing a plain old vodka soda. Jeez, show off.
I'm guessing yours is probably better. I was gonna add Fireball whiskey to it, but then I thought that might be too much.
That might be too much. I don't know.
Too much. I'll wait till 3 o'clock for that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
It's so great. And so we've had the pleasure of talking to you before, not only at conventions, but then we had you on for a conversation back in 2020 to talk about a lot of your awesome titles, as well as the title that just recently had a very big announcement, which we'll touch on later. But what we always like to ask our guests here is how you got started in this industry. So I know that you write for pretty much everything. So for you, whether it was a comic book, TV show, movie, what was the first thing as a kid that you saw that you said, I want to do this?
That's a good question. It's sort of like all over the place. I do remember my mom taking me to like the mall to meet Spider-Man when I was a little kid, where like you go and the guy's in the outfit and he writes Spidey on the front of your comic book. And now like looking back now, I'm like, what a horrible thing that is to do. Like, so some actor signs the front of your thing as Spider-Man and you're like, yay. But I think meeting him was pretty cool. But yeah, I got into comics because the same way my mom would just go by the spinner rack when she was at the grocery store. She would just grab whatever. So I remember like most of my comics when I was a kid were like, you know, issue 3 of 5, which was like Batman fighting KG Beast or something like that. So I had no idea what was going on until I eventually had my parents divorced and I got a stepbrother and he had all of the Punisher comic books from like the mid 90s all the way through. And I was like, oh yeah. So I started reading those, but that's what I think got me into comic books. But then I sort of backed my way in. I went and did film and TV for a little while. And while I was doing that, one of my buddies, Kyle Higgins, was trying to make it in comic books. So I helped him out a lot. And then he kind of popped and he was writing Nightwing and Deathstroke at the time. And he was like, he was like, I need some help. So he was like, can you come in and write Batman with me for like the last 2 issues? And it was Gates of Gotham, which is kind of cool. So I write those. And then everything just sort of took off from there. I got lucky and sort of worked my way from book to book. So it's just one of those things, you know, you help your friends for a really long time when they help you out.
Yeah, and so you said you got into writing film and TV first before comic books. So was there a specific like movie or TV show that you watched and somebody told you about like, hey, like there's actually somebody who writes these and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this?
Yeah, that's weird. Like, I don't remember the moment I realized that. I think like we're talking about this the other day with a friend of mine. It's like Stan Lee was the first person I ever remember thinking, oh wait, there's someone who actually writes these things for comics, but for film and TV, I mean, I don't want to say this the standard answers like Star Wars. I remember like really loving Neverending Story. Like I remember watching that movie, and the point at like midway through the movie or like end of the movie, spoiler by the way, is when she says like Bastion, like she's like Bastion, people are she's stuck into Atreyu, and she's like, Atreyu, Bastion's been watching you just as people have been watching Bastion. And I remember thinking like, wait a minute, it's like the meta-ness of it all like made me go, I can write this stuff. And yeah, so I think it was Neverending Story and the death of Artex that really did it all for me. Yeah.
Oh, the death of Artax. There was a cosplayer I saw. I know, yes, just for you, buddy. There was a cosplayer at Dragon Con the last time I went who did it perfectly, where like the head was just the head, so it looked like it was sinking into the carpet. Oh, it was so depressing.
That
was
is
so
awful.
good.
God, that's awful.
And so we have some wonderful comments here. So Nathan Duncan also remembered those times of having somebody like dressed up to sign stuff. So so he remembered doing that as well. And Crashline said, I've had Dead Day on my short list for a while. My childhood comic experience was exactly like your own, Ryan. Random weird stuff on a spinner rack. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's like you almost don't find like the really good stuff, like the Mount Rushmore stuff, until like later. You kind of have to like get in. Yeah, like then people are like, have you read? I do remember going to the comic store. My grandparents took me to Inner Sanctum Comics in Bakersfield, California, which is no longer there. And I remember going there and seeing the trade paperback for Death of the Family with Batman just holding Robin. And I'm like, can I have that? And like, I remember buying, I still have that actually. I think it's around or somewhere. It's like torn to pieces. But like, I remember that was the first comic book I ever read that I was like, oh my God, this is real. This is real stories, and these are very good. And even though, yeah, so I think that was probably like the first gateway. But yeah, but film and TV wise, I just sort of got like, I tried to go to college for drawing. Like I was going to be a comic artist, and then got there and was like, I am not talented enough to do this. This is
like, this is a lot of work. I don't want to.
Gonna break my back. And so I was like, what's easier? Oh, film and TV, and they pay better. Let's go do that. No, but but I got back to comics and my first love, and so I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, it's so amazing to have you here. And also like your work here with us at Aftershock is so wonderful and so different. Like you go from this sci-fi, story of way in the future and dealing with androids and this terrible rust kind of disease that's spreading, and they end up saving the world. And then you go to Oberon, where we were actually just talking to one of the producers of the comic books on the show, where Ryan actually made his eldest child cry from this one, which is such an amazing, fantastical, Shakespearean story. And then we have Dead Day, which I like to call Coco meets The Purge. So it's like so many different flavors of stuff. And you are really blowing up in the comic book world, because a lot of your fans know you as the writer of Power Rangers now. So for you, were you a Power Rangers fan growing up?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was about the right age. I think I was like 13 or 14 when it came out, and had a huge crush on Kimberly, and was watching for that, and then started for Kimberly and stayed for the fights. So,
I was like, this was like my most like, I'm an adult and live in my own space, because I got this off of Amazon for like $80-$90. So who knows? Maybe it's still there. I'm not a sponsor or anything like that. Right. So actually, Nathan Duncan asked it before I could. So the announcement, if you all missed it in January, is that Dead Day, this incredible comic book, is being turned into a show on Peacock. So Nathan asked, how does it feel getting a Peacock show?
It's pretty cool, man. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like the winding road to get there was very interesting. And there's lots of like, you go in one direction and like, oh, it's gonna happen here, and it's not gonna happen there. And you just get, I've had those pass before, and the stuff never happens. It never just materializes. Like, oh, it's always close. But then that one, it over the course of like 3 days, it went from like, oh, this could be a thing, to like a Friday, like we have a Go series. Like it was 3 days. It was crazy how fast it happened. And to be able to have people like Julie Plec and Kevin Williamson, like I remember the first call I had with them, I was like, I went and saw Scream in the theater 3 times. Like when I love that movie. I love a lot of his writing just across the board, like Dawson's Creek and all the other stuff he's done. And I was like, then he was on the phone with me, like telling me like, hey, I really like this book, and like, I think this could be really crazy. And I was just like, Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you
So,
for liking my book, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
exactly. That was exactly me. And then Julie is, Vampire Diaries. We could spend all day here and analyze all the incredible stuff she's doing. So like to have people like that come to you and go like, hey, here's what was really cool. Like the behind the scenes stuff. Like the coolest thing was we talked to a bunch of people about turning it into movies and TV, but everybody I talked to was like, this is going to be an awesome zombie movie. And I'm like, have you read the book?
Yeah,
That's
like you need to read the book.
Yeah.
It's not a zombie. It's very
It's not
different
that.
and it's
Yeah.
so expansive. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing is that
And-
we only focus on one family and this is all around the world. So
Yeah.
for anybody who has not read the book or doesn't know the premise, Ryan, would you like to describe the premise of Dead Day?
Sure. Yes. That's a good point. I should probably do that. Basically, the very simple pitch is if the dead could come back for one day, would you want them to? It takes place in a world where every year or so, a large group of the dead come back from sunset to sunrise. And with the way I thought about it would be like, if that was the way, if in real life, right, that would be like, for most people it'd be like awesome. It'd be like Christmas. Like you just get to spend some time with people from the dead and get to reconnect with family members. But then every once in a while you'd have one guy who's sitting out on his porch with a shotgun because someone's coming back. And so you have a little bit of that fun like wish fulfillment, but at the same time there's this option of like there's secrets don't stay buried in this world. It would change the way we look at religion. It would change the way we look at death. It would change the way we look at everything. And so what I loved about it was like, it's like you said, it's a small window into a very large world. I mean, the coolest thing about it was everybody I talked to when they come up and they pitch the book to them and we at cons, everybody has like a new question or like a new idea. And I think that's when you've got a good idea is when other people take it and kind of run with it. And so like it's been really cool to see people like ask questions and like there's lots of stuff I'm like, oh, I never thought about that and I never thought about that. And so it's been a really fun experience to actually be around people that it's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah, and it's such a human story because it's dealing with such pure human issues. So there's so much individuality in it because, like you said, you could have it where it's, your grandmother coming to visit. So you get that closure and you get to spend time with your grandma. Or it could be the person that you murdered coming back to murder you. So it's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's a balance. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in Dead Day, the story we follow is the Haskins, and we follow a woman named Melissa who is married. She has 2 kids, and you meet her in the first issue. She's basically telling her husband at the time, it's like, look, my ex-boyfriend who died when we were engaged, he's coming back tonight. If he comes back tonight, I'm gonna spend this night with him. And I'm gonna go, and the problem, and it's a story about the 2 different lives she lived. She lived the life which she had with him and the life that she has now, and she's worried that if those 2 collide, it could destroy everything. And so it's about her trying to choose, what kind of person was she? Does she like the person she was? It's like when, in a weird way, it's kind of like when you run into an ex or somebody like that, you talk to them and you start to remember like you're a different person now than were you when you dated them. And so that's like it's all that fun stuff. And also one of the things I really loved about the story was that they have a daughter in it who's like 3 or 4. She's never lived in a world where the dead didn't come back. It's like living in a world without the internet. Like, just like, I thought that was it. There's just so many different interesting layers. There's different religious groups. There's like the lifers who believe that they're there to help people, like help the dead find their purpose. And you've got that's a revivalist. And then you have the lifers who believe that, I got it flipped. And then the lifers are like, any dead person is a dead person and we should destroy them. And you can't prosecute me for killing somebody that's already dead. And so,
and they're almost like militant in their beliefs. But both are still based in religion, which is always interesting. Like it's fascinating and it's such a huge world. So it only makes sense to have it be a serialized TV show. Cause this could go, I mean, you could do each season in a completely different place in the world. Like it's just it's limitless. Yeah. So how much are you going to be a part of the show while working on it? Cause you've done so much film and TV. Like what part are you going to have a part of the Peacock show?
Well, I'm a supervising producer on it no matter what, so I'll be involved in the process. Whether or not I'll be writing on it, we'll see. It's a conversation we're having right now. They're still really, really in the process, so it's going to come down to like time and everything, like other comic books, because we're doing another volume of Dead Day for Aftershock, which is exciting. So like we'll just see if that so like in either whether I'm working on the show or working on the comic, I will still continue to be involved in the Dead Day story. So.
Yes, so well, you heard it here, folks. First, we'll do more announcements about it. But yes, Dead Day is coming back, so that's going to be really, really exciting. I can't wait to see it. And I almost don't want any spoilers, Ryan. So don't tell me. Don't tell me. I want to read it on the
All
page.
right.
Oh, it's so much fun. So for you, what other of your IPs, whether it's here at Aftershock or with all the other stuff that you do, that you would really like to see be turned into a movie or TV show?
Oh man. I'd love Oberon to turn. I would have loved to have Oberon
I
do
love
more.
Oberon so much.
Thanks.
I'm the one who's like at every single show, just like pushing it so aggressively. And it's funny too, because for me, like if this book came out, I mean, like I'm obsessed with it now, but if this came out when I was like 12, 13, I would have been just insane about it. And I feel like some people feel like that's too young, but I remember there's this one girl and she was wearing like a Harry Potter shirt coming by, and I was like, "You want this?" And I described it, and she literally started doing a dance. She was so excited about like her mom buying it and like to read it. Like as she was walking away, she was already like turning pages. I was like, yeah, get it.
Yeah.
So Oberon, absolutely. I agree on that one.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like an evil Doctor Who. Like that's the way I saw it in my head. Yeah,
It is.
like
It really is.
imagine a Doctor Who that's like taking you around and lying to you about every planet he's going to and doing devious things and manipulating you. And I was just like, that's fun. Like that's what I want, because I love the idea of like taking one of those bad characters and then having them almost become like a good person over time because of the goodness of the person he's with. Like, I mean, the way I pitched it was what if Voldemort had raised Harry Potter? And I was like,
Yeah.
that would be, and then what was cool was like, because that you have to do with Oberon and you're dealing with Shakespeare and stuff, you have so many different worlds you could play with. Like and I think it's like the fourth issue or whatever, they go to the Immortal Masquerade, and I just threw every single literary reference I could find in there. There's like the three sisters from Macbeth, and there's the fairy godmother from Cinderella, and there's Bottom from Midsummer Night's Dream, and like there's like who would hate Oberon because of the Titania thing. Like there's so much fun stuff. It's such a unique and fun world, and you can just go anywhere and do anything. And I had planned it out for like a really long like section. I kind of knew what I wanted to be, and it would be really fun to be able to do. I also think it'd be great, like a great animated series or something like that. So I'm trying. We'll see. Maybe someday.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Charles Pritchett also said, my daughter was 10, 11 when she read Oberon, and she loved it, except for the part where she cried.
Yeah. Charles did all the lettering on those. I think he did lettering for that book, and he did a
Mhm.
fantastic job. Like there was like, it's funny. I've learned a lot since the time I did Oberon and the comics I've done now, and like how incredibly important a letterer is in regards to one. I also realized all letterers know how stupid writers are, by the way. They're like, they see the uncluttered draft. They read that script and they go, this guy can't spell. Thank God I'm here. So yeah, that's the nice thing. So thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. Thanks for making me look so bad.
Yeah. Well, and lettering is so fascinating too, because if you think about it, it's how you decide what the voice sounds like,
Mhm.
because like depending on the font, depending on, like even the coloring of it. So good
Yeah.
job, Charles. Well done. And then, so what, oh, I guess I don't want any spoilers about Dead Day, but what, for Dead Day continuing on, are we focusing on the same family, or are we switching gears to a different set of people?
Yes and no. I have like I want to see more of the world. I think somebody asked me an interesting question. I think it was at one of the early cons, and was like they're Latin American, and they were just like, is this related to the idea of the Day of the Dead in real life? And I was like, no, it's not. There's actually a moment in one of the issues that actually talks about how the Latin American community has to deal with the consequences of Dead Day, and it's like, we have nothing to do with this, but people think it is because it's called Dead Day. But I thought it was really fun. But they were like, what would it be like in that world? What would it be like in different countries around the world? And I was like, that's a really good question. And so I think there's going to be some version of understanding what's going on in the rest of the world. And also there's more of I really like the idea of sort of seeing. I like the thing that really excited me about Dead Day was like the economy of it all. This idea that like with the dead do come back for one night, like how do people make money off this? Like I'm excited about that concept of that. So like I wanted to deal with sort of the economics of a little bit, and the idea of like what jobs would be created because of this particular holiday. And so that's as much of a spoiler I can give, is like this idea of like, who are the people who work on Dead Day and what do they do? And because I think there's just something interesting about the idea of like, there's a great line from the movie The Frighteners, which I've always loved, which is like, the dead are no way to make a living. And I was like, that's a great line. And so that's kind of my North Star on this one.
I love that. Yeah, because it almost reminds me of the guy who did Dirty Jobs. I can't think of his name right now. That he hosted it, but he did a TED talk about like the thing that he found out doing Dirty Jobs is that these people had such success because they saw what was happening in the world and what needed to be taken care of, and created a job to do that. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what kind of comes about from Dead Day and what kind of jobs. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I
so
like
there's been
that.
that, but yeah, there'll be some recurring characters that from the first series, but I wanted to sort of like map out and see more of the world and that stuff. So
Yeah. Well, so since you are an accomplished screenwriter as well as comic book writer, what are the differences and like the pluses and minuses to writing both? Because obviously it's similar and yet very different.
yeah, um, let me drink one
All
second to
right.
pause.
Okay. All
If I
right.
do that,
Yes.
I can think through my sip.
Yeah, exactly. Gives you a moment.
Um, I think there's like, I mean, every time you work in a different medium, it's like sort of stretching a different muscle. Like it's like comics are great because it's incredible how little story is actually in the 22-page comic book. You'd be surprised compared to like movies and TV and all that stuff. So like you have to think in sort of a different way, and you have to sort of think in chapters and interesting stuff as opposed to just like you don't. I never want to write to a cliffhanger. I think that's one thing with comics. That's a different thing. You don't want to just be like, I'm not just trying to get you to the fourth issue. I want to make sure that everybody feels like you bought that $5, like you get enough in that thing. But I think like what's interesting with somebody told me this about writing for difference between film and TV is like writing in comics is you're writing for space is time, and in movies and TV time is I messed it up. I can't remember. But basically it's like, okay, here's an example. If you write an action sequence in like a screenplay, if like you and I are fighting and you punch me in the mouth and I punch you and so on, so like that's like 3 lines, right? But in a comic book, that's like 3 pages. Because it's like I gotta punch and you gotta fall down and you gotta do the line and you gotta stand back up and you gotta get punched. So like you just have like action in a film and TV is very small, and so like it feels like you have to fill the rest of the space. But in comics, when you write towards action, you actually it's like it takes up you can like as I write Power Rangers, like of the 22 pages of that, like 12 or 13 of them are action, and then story is like 6 or 7. So you gotta balance that stuff, and it's like finding ways to use the action to carry story and character and stuff like that. But like I think like they're all amazing genres. Like it's crazy how overlapped they've all become. Like comics are film. Like I don't know where the film industry would be without comic books. I get kind of upset when people like rip on Marvel movies because I'm just like, without Marvel movies, I don't know if we'd have cinemas anymore, folks. Like it's just like they
Right.
are the thing. So I love old school films. I like watching movies that aren't comic book movies, but I also realize how valuable those things are and how awesome they can be. So and then also you look at it just seems like comics have sort of infiltrated all of every level of media now, which is really awesome. And also it's so crazy how it's different. Like I just found out, the movie Marry Me with Jennifer Lopez?
Oh yeah.
That was a comic book.
What?
Yeah,
That's
it was like
crazy.
it was a web comic that somebody wrote and made, and it was on like at a comic convention. It was like sitting on a table, and an executive walked by and looked at it and then picked it up, and then that became a movie. And I'm so here, finish your web comics. Everybody out there, always finish your project. You just never know. And it's like, who would have thought? So like comic can be anything, which is so great. I mean, I'm glad that they finally become like a medium as opposed to like superheroes and stuff like that. So that was
Yeah,
a really
absolutely.
winding answer. I
It
apologize.
was no, don't ever apologize. That was awesome because
Yeah.
yeah, in a lot of ways, comic books are basically just storyboards. Because you look
Yep.
at like the first movie of Sin City, and they basically just use the comic book as the storyboards. It was
Absolutely.
beautiful. So C-List E-Man says, "Fantastic interview, Rue. Thank you, Ryan. Can we expect a big daddy coming into the Rogue's Sun world?" Oh wait, hold on, the comment went up too fast. So sorry, let me say this one more time. Can we expect a Big Daddy coming into the Rogue Sun world? Will there be more crossovers with the Radiants?
At some point, yes. I mean, uh, there will be a lot of overlap. I think I was over at Kyle's house the other day, just yesterday, working on the next arc for Rogue Sun. So, yeah, we're always trying to find ways to make that stuff as tight and as connected as possible. And Kyle's always trying to get me to do crazy things. God bless him. So like I love him for it. And he's just like, you try this. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it. But yes, we have a lot of big plans, and hopefully if the book keeps going, we'll get to do them all. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of fun stuff.
Nice. Next, we have Rudy Vela, who's one of our awesome ambassadors as well. He says, "Hey, Ru and Ryan, first off, cheers to both of you. Second, I was curious if this new Peacock series will be following the family we get to know in the comic book or a new story in the world. If we will be following the comic, I feel Ben Barnes would be an amazing role of Jeremy. He was the actor of Jigsaw in season 2 of The Punisher." That's okay. I was like,
Oh
I
yeah,
know that name.
I know Ben Barnes is hot. Yeah, I get it. I know who Ben Barnes
Yeah,
is.
and he was definitely the voice in my head when I read Jeremy in the comic book. But either way, congrats to you, Ryan. I'm excited to watch. So, yeah, will the Peacock series be focused on the family?
I will plead the fifth on this because I don't want to get in trouble with my bosses.
That's fair. That's fair.
I will say we've had lots of conversations about the world. We've had lots of conversations about the story. We'll see. Let's see. I don't want to spoil anything. So, but thank you for asking that question. I wish I could give you I give you a good answer. And Ben Barnes is a fantastic choice for Jeremy. I will let you in on a small thing. He was named Jeremy because I think I was modeling him after Jeremy Renner. And I'm just not good at names.
That's really good.
But yes, big fan, Ben Barnes.
And Juanico is very excited about Dead Day Volume 2, and he wants to color it. So I guess reach out to us,
Right.
get on there, see if we can get you going. And he says congrats as well. So what other projects and stuff? It doesn't have to be just Aftershock related. What other projects and everything can people be on the lookout for you?
Well, I just launched a new series at Image called Rogue Sun, which somebody really asked about earlier, which is it's part of the Massive Verse, which is basically just in the Image universe, but it's Kyle Higgins and I and Matthew Groom and some other people coming down the line. It's just like we're sort of doing like we went back to sort of what the original Image founders did, which was like we started superheroes and we're all going to be sort of in the same universe. The quick pitch of it is basically it's about a kid who's 16 and 17 years old. His name's Dylan. He's not a particularly nice kid. When you meet him, he's pushing a kid in a locker. He's more like Flash Thompson than your traditional hero. His father left when he was 2, and then what happens is he finds out that his dad's dead, and that he goes to the will reading and discovers that not only was his father didn't die in a car accident, but his dad was actually a superhero and has left him his mantle and superpowers. And so in order to become a superhero, he actually has to learn about the guy he's hated his entire life and sort of understand who that guy was. So it's kind of a dark Batman Beyond kind of storyline and stuff like that, and it's a lot of fun. And so I'm doing that, and then still writing Power Rangers at the moment, which is really fun. I think I've done over 100 issues in 3 years, which is a lot. And we just we're doing some new stuff for there, and then I'm trying to think of anything else. That's it for now. It's nice to not have. I mean, it sounds like I'm being really an ass here, but I usually write 4 books a month, so it's been nice to not do that. And then obviously working on Dead Day Volume 2, and then just doing the film and TV stuff. So yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and Edward Huey says, I really enjoyed issue 1 of Rogue Sun. And I know, like, I'm really excited to pick that up because you were actually telling me about that at C2E2. And I was like, that's amazing. I am very on board.
Thank you.
It's so cool. So where can everybody follow you on social media so they can keep up with all this incredible work you're doing, even though you're like taking it easy right now with only 2 projects?
I'm taking it so easy. No, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at that Ryan Parrott, which whenever I say out loud sounds so pretentious. But
oh no, it'd be so much more pretentious if you're like the Ryan Parrott.
You're right. That would have been worse. So yeah, when I say it's more like, oh, that Ryan Parrott. You have to say it with a little bit of an eye roll. But yeah, I'm on Twitter. That's pretty much where I'm not on Instagram and all that stuff. So like, yeah, that's pretty much where you find me. And that's me. I actually run the account, so I'll respond and favorite and all that good stuff. So.
Well, awesome. It's so good to hang out with you virtually. Hopefully I'll be able to hang out with you in person very soon and we can catch up. But thank you again so much for joining.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime. Thank you so much.
Yes. And for all those staying tuned, we will have some Dead Day on sale for the happy hour, as well as some We Live exclusive. So stick around. Hey there, Ru again to remind you that we have another Epicenter coming up this coming Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern to talk about the new comic book titles, My Date with Monsters #5, Almost American #5, and Heathens #5. So 3 titles that are having the finale next week. As well as add it to your calendars, we have another happy hour coming up on April 14th with the incredible James Patrick. So make sure that you add that to your calendar, pour yourselves a drink and join us there. But now let's get on to the live sale. Welcome back, awesome nerds. It is now time for the world famous live sale. So we have some wondrous items for you, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read through once what everything is and do a brief description, and then once I finish reading through the whole list, we'll open up the live sales. That way you can jump in and add these incredible titles to your cart. So first up, we have the Unstoppable Mike Ruth with our happy hour variant for today's show of We Live Volume 2. So we have both the #1 black and the #1 white, and these actually put together beautifully for a full spread. And I cannot get enough of this. I cannot wait to get one myself. There's only 250 of these each available, and they're going to be $15 each. Next up, we have Dead Day #1, and this is the CBCS 9.8 graded. We only have 2 of these available for $100. And then we have some Buddy Mask stuff. So first up, we have Buddy Mask Cover A #1 9.8 CBCS graded. We only have 5 available of this for $50 each. And then we have Buddy Mask, the happy hour variant, also by Mike Ruth. This is the #1 9.8 CBCS graded. We have only 5 of these available for $75 each. And for the last Bunny Mask one that we actually have the Bunny Mask Ambassador variant. So this one was only available to our ambassador shops. We brought 2 to each shop, so this is very, very rare. This is the #1 9.8 CBCS graded. We only have 5 available of this at $75 each, as well as so we actually sold out of all of our Dead Day stuff in our stock. So what we have right here is Dead Day #1 through 5. So this is the complete series, and this is the first print, and it also includes the #2 incentive cover. So we have 5 sets available at $25 total. So that is everything that we have available on this live sale. We're gonna make it live right now. So a link is going to be in the chat, as well as if you're following on Twitter or anything like that. So you just click on that link and you can add it all the place. Ray, I see that you are asking about when can you buy some Bunny Mask shirts. Those are going to be available on our website when we do our update. So that'll be very soon. And as you see, Restream, we have the bit.ly link in there. So click on that and let me talk through these titles one more time. So if you follow Mike Ruth, and you should, because he's ridiculously talented and able to do artwork with literally anything he finds on the ground. He does this and it's awesome. But this is his happy hour variant for both We Live #1 black and We Live #1 white. And if you put them together, they create a beautiful masterpiece all together. So I need to get these. And there's only 250 of each that we printed. So this is very, very minimum amount that we have available. And each of these are only $15. And that's only for the next 24 hours. So make sure that you add these to your cart and get them right away, because after that, they're going to be going up in price and probably not available anymore, because we sell out pretty quick of these. And then we have quite a few beautiful CBCS 9.8 graded books, including Dead Day #1, which is basically out of print as well. And we only have 2 available for $100 each. And Ryan is amazing. So if you bring any of these to any con that he's at, and as you heard, he goes to a lot of cons, he will be happy to sign them. And next up, for all of our Bunny Mask fans, we have Bunny Mask Cover A #1 9.8 CBCS graded. We only have 5 available of these for $50. And it's very exciting because we have, with Free Comic Book Day coming up, we have Bunny Mask Tales coming up for Free Comic Book Day, as well as the Wednesday after Free Comic Book Day is going to be our #1 issue for Bunny Mask Volume 2 starting off. So much Bunny Mask to go around. And for all of our Mike Ruth fans, we have the Bunny Mask Happy Hour variant #1 9.8 CBCS graded. Available for $75 each. We only have 5 available. Okay, great. I was just checking with the comments because I see that somebody was having problems with the links, but Paul Dunn is just using it right away. Creed, we do not have any WonderCon exclusives here, but for our show that is happening in April, we will have some if there's any left over from WonderCon. So very, very stoked for that. We are getting some more comments that the link doesn't work. So if anybody on my technical side can check that out, see what's going on there. But Okay, it is up and working now. So we just put it back in the chat. So just click on that link in the chat, and that is definitely the one that'll work. Continuing on, we have the Bunny Mask Ambassador variant #1 at 9.8 CBCS graded, 5 available for that. And that is the Ambassador one that is very, very rare. So we're doing that for $75 each. And last but not least, you can do a full pack of all #1 through 5 of Dead Day, including the #2 incentive cover. So it's actually 6 comics books, and we'll have 5 sets of these available for $25 each. Paul Dunn, I see you're asking about for Planet Comic Con. We will be there, and we are planning to have Comic Con exclusives there as well. And as always, if we have a convention, once we have a happy hour afterwards, whatever is left over, we'll sell here for a cheaper price, if there's anything left, because obviously we usually sell out because it's some pretty awesome perks that we have for our conventions. So for any of those who are in Southern California, next weekend, starting on April 1st, we are going to be boothing at WonderCon with some beautiful exclusives. And if you're not already following us on social media, please do. We are on all of the social media for Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And that way you can check out all of the announcements that we have for our conventions and convention exclusives and so much more. And please make sure to like, subscribe to wherever you are watching this video, because we have so many incredible videos coming up, including on April 14th, we're going to have the Unstoppable James Patrick. So I can't wait to talk to him. I have not been able to interview him yet. He's a very busy man, but with all of the titles he's doing with us, including Kaiju Score that is already in process of being a Sony Pictures movie. It's very excited. Creed, I'll be excited to see you at WonderCon. And for all those folks out there, just stay safe, wash your hands, wear your mask, keep your distance, and only read dangerously. We'll see you all next time.